All right. I started to make a little change today. I thought I wanted to I wanted to take chart density and just add one small feature that would, bring me joy. And that feature was to, have on the main chart page here, not only have the value, but have the average historical value. So I've done that. Right now you can see the recorded value in green and then the average that it's getting compared to in gray. So we needed to add colors, and we needed to add an additional item to the line chart. And as with many things, something that seems like, this is only going to take me, 45 minutes or an hour. One thing leads to another, which leads to another, which leads to another, and pretty soon we're down a rabbit hole, and there's no going back. Thankfully, this isn't a huge refactor, but there's a lot of little items come up, and this is just the way, programming goes, and why things take a lot of time to work on. So what was going to be maybe 45 minutes to an hour is probably going to take up, half the day or more. Well, I'll show you what I've gotten into. So initially we just had a one line on this chart, which was the value. We don't have any ability to set our timeline yet or do much in the way of, just show me what's interesting. That's coming. I'm at the point now where the major features that need to be written are the alerting. I've got a to-do to test, like monitoring a light sail instance using my API key and my dataset key token here to actually send data into the system. This is all being collected internally. This is Oracle system statistics that I'm using mainly for testing, although I will probably build a pretty cool kind of Oracle monitoring module that you can plug in. So if I ever say try to run this on site somewhere, or somebody wants to run it on site, that would probably be something I would charge for or take a contribution for development on. That there would be modules that would basically plug in for monitoring your Oracle database, but not just your Oracle database. I would like to see that extended to monitoring the application your Oracle database is supporting and showing you how to write alerts and monitors for those applications. In the past, I've written them for PeopleSoft. I've written them for JD Edwards. I wrote them for an application called Paradigm, which is a healthcare claims payer processing system. So if you want to see how many claims per minute are you processing, it's like, hey, that's just some SQL, and then you just plug that into a product like ChartDensity, and it's all monitored, and you can set alerts and all that kind of stuff, So, so I'd like to do that. I see that as a viable path to maybe getting traction with the product, more so than trying to compete with just whatever chart products are out there. But at this point, it's just a labor of love, and part of that is adding little features that bring you joy. So today, the joy was this. So one of the problems I had to figure out is how do we do colors, and I had to go back and look at my Google chart code. And what you got to do colors for lines, you have this options object. So this chunk will get returned. This little piece of JavaScript will get returned back to my page, my dynamic. What is it called? A dynamic. I'm going to make myself go look at that. This is a dynamic content block that is showing these charts, and all it's doing is returning the CLOB that comes from this function I've written called get all the charts for the data set for the page number we're on, and if there's any search criteria. So this is pretty much all you need to display charts. And then I've got that code in my app UI package here. We'll look at that in a second. But as far as the Google Charts code, which is available to you, I haven't checked in any changes, so this isn't quite out there, but it'll be in the dev branch. So you just provide a list of colors. And the cool thing is, if you only have one, I just overloaded it. Just added a bunch of colors. There's not that many lines, but if you do, it just picks up the next color. Of course, that's not ideal. What I want to do is I want to be able to set my colors when I'm adding my lines. In order to do that, I'm going to need to track those like in a list or an array or something. And then when I render this, I'm going to need to unfurl that array into a string with the single ticks. So that is a to-do for today. I've got to do that now. I just got the colors working, but that's really not the right way to do it. Also, on my app UI views, what I needed to do was, let's just find this, I changed my metric work base view, which is kind of the base view that we're pulling these charts from. Pulling from metric work table, and then we need to union that to the archive. So we've got history, so we've got the current data and the history. And you can set your calc type, and your calc type is, what you're interested in. So it's gathering the raw data, the delta, and the rate per second, but you might be interested in seeing the rate per minute. So if you do that, then we need to kind of render the rate per second divided by 60. And that calc type is initially set when you create the data set, but then it's also stored at the row level. So, I can, for a particular, for 99% of the charts, we might want rate per minute, but for some, like memory, you would probably just want the raw value. And then you might want to do conversion on the raw value. So you might want to divide that and convert that bytes to gigabytes, because for memory, bytes is kind of hard to do the math in your head just looking at it. So we might want to convert that to gigabytes. And I've got a way to do that also at the row level for each metric. But I was doing it on the fly, and I discovered that, hey, that's kind of slow. So we actually need to do that on the inbound. So that's another to-do that I need to do today. This is just all coming up. So I rewrote this view and was very happy with it. And then we based our charts off of that. And in looking at our chart code, in our, let's see if I can find, what is it, add. I'm not sure if this is it or not. What do we want? We want color, maybe? Sorry, I'm trying to find. Yeah, that's not what I wanted to show you. Maybe it's an app UI. Yeah, I think this is it. So, okay. So, as far as adding another column to our series, the data needed to return in our data points data, we needed to return another value. And I was returning something called data, which was like all of this stuff together and with brackets and all that. And that's not what we want. So now I do the time conversion in the view right here. So I pull back that. I get my average value reference. And then we add the column, but the part I'm trying to get to is this right here. So this is where we're adding our values. And as I looked at this, I said, this is getting kind of complicated. Why? I shouldn't make you, the caller, responsible for adding these brackets. All you want to do is create a little, you just want to pass in your values. So we're going to change GC add data, and it's just going to be, you just pass in your values. D time, D average value, be comma, comma, comma. You won't do any of this string stuff. So that is another thing that needs to change. And that's why, K2 and this stuff is going to be in motion for at least a year, because I just discover stuff like this all the time that's like, well, we got to make that better. That's not quite there. So, anyway, going back to our charts. Let's go back to our charts here. Yeah, and so one of the things that's kind of cool to watch here is, so the gray is your average value. And the way the metrics works in K2 that I'm using is, at first, how do we know what average is? We don't have, when you first start charting something, you have nothing to go off of. So you need to go off yourself. Basically, hey, I've collected 3 values in the last 15 minutes. I'm just going to average those together, and that's my historical average. And after the hour rolls, you're going to get some averages in your average history table. That's basically everything for the hour, and we'll start using that. And then after 2 hours, we'll start using both hours. So as you go on, you get more and more rows of data to average. And you can see that that initial average reference is dropping as time goes on during that particular time period. And it's actually using like the hour of day at this point. So it's looking at, it's got enough data at some point that it says, I'm going to start using this hour of the day. If it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to kind of use that as my average reference, only data at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And so you see that little pattern. And that's interesting because I hadn't noticed that before. Of course, it makes sense once I saw it, but I'm like, why is that going down? And oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that is where we're at with chart density today. We've got some other things to get done, so I'm going to end this here, and hopefully I'll get those other little to-dos done, and then get on to some other things. I'm probably going to start I've got a couple different other applications. Well, I've got to get Super Loser up and running again, just for my portfolio. To throw that out there. So that is a big to-do. And then I've got some other projects that I might start, because chart density honestly is going to be working on this for a long time. I don't want to spend all my time on it because who knows how I would ever monetize this. I'm not quite confident, but I've got an idea for a flashcard type application, and now that ChatGPT is out there, that's a really interesting idea because you can use ChatGPT to help generate the content. I think that would be a good a fun AI idea. And then the other idea is maybe something more whimsical, which is getting into maybe the first kind of demo on how to build an application on Oracle Apex with my K2 framework. And whimsical meaning, maybe it does some funny stuff. I don't know. I've seen examples out there where they're games. Maybe there's a way to integrate some API that's fun to integrate or something, or maybe integrate Amazon Web Services or something like that. I'm not sure yet, but that might be some kind of demo project where we're just exploring K2, how to implement like all the features. So it's not necessarily a product that would make sense, but it's something that will show you kind of all the things that you need to know in order to build stuff on it. Now, this right here, most of this stuff, again, this is all K2. You can generate charts like this using your data just as easily as I have, and this is very little code if you want to do this. And of course, you can use the Apex charts, but these are generated dynamically off the data. They just each chart is generated based on how much data you have. So if you add more rows, you get more charts. So, all right, that's it. You can see where to follow me right over here. All those shortcuts built on apex.com/K2 or /YouTube/Twitter /LinkedIn/Ethan if you want to find me. Feel free to connect with me on any of those channels. Really appreciate you watching, and hopefully we're learning together. I'm really excited about the Oracle Apex 23C release. Unfortunately, I don't have time to go play with it all, but it looks really cool, and I'm really excited about some of the features I'm seeing there, especially running JavaScript inside the database, because like working with JSON and things like that might be a lot easier in JavaScript than it is in what Oracle offers. So, okay, thank you.